Hey friends, so I just wanted to talk to you today about managing different kinds of rental properties. Now, every property is going to be somewhat unique, but there's different classes of rental properties that are going to have their unique challenges in each. So you've got single family rentals, condos that are rentals, then you've got apartment rentals, and in all three of those there could be long-term rentals, mid-term rentals, or short-term rentals. And then, of course, you've also got commercial rentals. Now, the one thing I'm not very knowledgeable about is the commercial rentals. I do some minor commercial rental, just renting of office spaces, but it's very similar to residential rental, so I'm not going to dive into that too much. But I am familiar with short-term rentals, with long-term rentals of condos, apartments, and single families. So let's start with single families, which I think single families to me feel like the easiest to manage as far as long-term rentals, because the tenants who are normally placed in a single family are going to be responsible for yard maintenance, maybe some minor in-the-house maintenance, and you find that people will often just take a sense of ownership of the house because they feel like it's their house, and technically they have ownership rights during that rental period, but you find there tends to be more ownership of the actual property with a single family renter versus the other types. Now, with renting out a condo space, you're going to have, again, less ownership, so any minor thing that happens, the tenant will be reaching out to you. You have to make it clear what you will and won't do. Like literally, you may have to spell out, we are not changing light bulbs. Now, the one thing you don't have to deal with where you do in apartments is the interaction between tenants, because you're not going to be responsible unless you own multiple condos in the same unit. You won't be responsible for the interaction they have with their neighbors. You probably won't hear about it because they'll deal with it some other way. The other caveat though with the condos is dealing with the management association for the condos, and that's one thing that I just didn't like about that one. I had a property which I've since sold. I've had a couple of them which were condos, apartment style condos, and getting reports that the blinds are messed up or just silly things. I had one where they kept complaining about where the trash was, but they were confusing with this address for another. So it's just another kind of quasi-government agency that's dictating what you can do. And then, of course, the other issue is the money. The one condo I had, the water was included, and then it wasn't included. They sub-metered everything, stopped including the water in the monthly fee, but they didn't change the monthly fee at all. So now you've got just a whole new fee for water, and to me, that lack of control really kind of drove me crazy. Now, I also manage currently a single family condo. So that's a little different, but you're still dealing with the condo association and them telling you, hey, this needs to be maintained. Now in this situation, it's not, I don't own the property, so as far as the increasing cost, that kind of thing, that more falls on the owner. The only thing I deal with is dealing with the association with, well, the water bill's been one major issue and kind of a painful one. It's just trying to get the water bill straight. So that's another thing. When they separately meter them, then it's the condo association, not the city, sending out the water bill. So that can get a little precarious with because they're subcontracting out to a water meter company to look at that. Now apartments, that's a whole nother ballgame, because with the apartments, the beauty of from an investor standpoint is you're buying a bunch of units together. So you have one roof, you've got one foundation, you have a bunch of tenants. So if the apartment building is, if one person moves out, you still have a bunch of people paying rent, as opposed to a single family or an individual condo unit where if one person's out, you have no income that month. So your income may go down by a percentage, but depending how many apartments, the percentage may be smaller or bigger, just depending on the number. The other issue, though, the bigger issue that you have with condos is when managing the tenants, they expect more, similar to a condo, apartment-style condo. In addition to that, there's the interaction between tenants. So you need to make sure that you treat everybody exactly the same. And really, you should do that all the time anyway. But no, in apartments, there tends to be interaction, and then sometimes there's negative interaction. Had a huge incident over parking, where people just got just unbelievably rude, calling me at like 9 p.m. and screaming about parking issues. And those kind of things you will have to deal with more if you're managing a bunch of people who live next to each other. So this could also be similar in like a duplex or a quadruplex where you've got 4 people. And then the one thing I didn't mention was this other thing, which is like room rentals. They kind of call it house hacking, but actually renting out rooms. And while I've researched that a little bit, that seems like you really have to have the right people in there, because they're directly interacting, like in the kitchen, the living room, that kind of thing. Now on to short-term and mid-term rentals. So mid-term rentals I've not done some research on. There was a big thing with traveling nurses. There's other people who, for whatever reason, might just need a property. Maybe they're transitioning from one house to another, having a house built, so they just need a rental property for, say, 90 days or 6 months, or maybe a month. So in those midterm rental properties, it seems like that could be a good niche, because the cities aren't regulating them, or the counties aren't regulating them as harshly as they are the short-term. Short-term rentals have become a big regulation thing, where some places aren't allowing it. Places like Virginia Beach, if you were grandfathered in, you could still do it, but now there's just a certain district down near the ocean front where they're allowable. Now, those definitely, the management, you're going to be a lot more involved. So professional managers will charge more for managing those, because again, it's people coming and going. There's regular maintenance, there's regular cleaning, so there's just a lot more involved with that. But it can be more lucrative because you can charge higher rates, and so but again, the income's going to be more up and down, because just depending what the season is, depending if there's a hurricane comes in and people don't want to book around that time of year, or have to leave, or different issues come up. So that's just a little chunk of my knowledge on different rental types and managing the different rental types. So hopefully you found this interesting. If there's anything I can do to help you that's related to real estate, please reach out, call, text, email me. Love to help.